What's up? It's Gamer Froggy. I know it's been a hot minute since my last video upload, and that's just because we finished moving, so I should get back to a more regular schedule. So welcome back to my channel for another episode of the Sims 4 American Girl doll build series. Today we are covering Caroline Abbott and the War of 1812. All articles I mention will be linked in the description below. Let's hop into the American Girl doll wiki to learn more about Caroline. Caroline Abbott is the 13th historical character representing the War of 1812. Caroline was released in 2012 and was part of the Be Forever collection. Caroline Abbott is a 9 and later 10-year-old girl who lives in Sackett's Harbor, New York, a town in Upper New York State on the shores of Lake Ontario, just south of the border between the United States and Canada, which was still a British colony at the time. Caroline was born in a log cabin and is the only child in her family. She has lived in Sackett's Harbor her whole life and loves her hometown and doesn't like leaving. Her family runs a shipyard. She lives with her mother, father, and maternal grandmother. Caroline enjoys outdoor activities, especially sailing on Lake Ontario and ice skating during the winter. She dreams of being captain of her own ship one day, and she also likes fishing. Caroline likes embroidery and loves to sew. When Caroline is worried, upset, or anxious, she likes to keep her hands busy, usually with her embroidery. She also likes the cows on her cousin's farm. Caroline is sweet and clever. Her friends call her a true hero because she's not afraid to put her courage to the test. Caroline is adventurous, tomboyish, brave, heroic, and independent. She is prone to making rash decisions, oftentimes bordering between brave and foolish. Caroline is very stubborn, sensitive, and easily offended. She can be quite outspoken. Her father considers her to be flighty. Caroline struggles with changes and also struggles to make her own decisions. Later, she learns to use her heart and mind to make decisions. Caroline is jealous when her cousin Lydia becomes friends with Rhonda, a girl staying with the Abbotts, and believes that they're leaving her out with whatever they do. When a worker in Abbott's shipyard makes Rhonda ice skates, she believes Rhonda will love ice skating as much as she does, but is disappointed and frustrated when she finds Rhonda doesn't. Caroline is younger than both Lydia and Rhonda, but still wants to be included with what they do. Her least favorite chore is baking, which she isn't very good at. She has a way of reading the expressions of others without them saying anything or telling her how they're feeling. She is proud of her father and will go to great lengths to please him and often boasts about him. American Girl describes her as daring and self-reliant. From the USS Constitution Museum, which is linked in the description below, quote, "The War of 1812 pitted the young United States in a war against Great Britain, from whom the American colonies had won their independence in 1783. The conflict was a byproduct of the broader conflict between Great Britain and France over who would dominate Europe and the wider world. In Britain's effort to control the world's oceans, the British Royal Navy encroached upon American maritime rights and cut into American trade during the Napoleonic Wars. In response, the young Republic declared war on Britain on June 18, 1812. The two leading causes of the war were the British Orders in Council, which limited American trade with Europe, and impressment, the Royal Navy's practice of taking seamen from American merchant vessels to fill out the crews of its own chronically undermanned warships. Under the authority of the Orders in Council, the British seized some 400 American merchant ships and their cargoes between 1807 and 1812. Press gangs, though ostensibly targeting British subjects for naval service, also swept up 6,000 to 9,000 Americans into the crews of British ships between 1803 and 1812. Some of the impressed sailors were born in British possessions but had migrated to the United States, while many others had attained citizenship that was either in question or simply could not be documented. With only 16 warships, the United States could not directly challenge the Royal Navy, which had 500 ships in service in 1812. Instead, the new nation targeted Canada, hoping to use the conquest of British territory as a bargaining chip to win concessions on the maritime issues. Most Americans assumed that the conquest of Canada would be, in the words of former President Thomas Jefferson, quote, a mere matter of marching. The United States enjoyed a huge population advantage over Canada, 7.7 million to 500,000, and it was widely believed in America that U.S. troops would be welcomed as liberators. But events did not play out as Americans expected. Waging war at the end of extended supply lines over the vast distances of the North American wilderness was no easy task. The British and their allies from indigenous nations in North America proved to be a formidable foe. It's significant that Caroline's family are shipbuilders living in a key harbor during the War of 1812 because Caroline lived in the middle of a war zone. As the article mentioned, American troops turned to fighting Canada, which was not an easy feat once they realized their navy wasn't as strong as the British. They would have been a critical family in the wartime efforts. From Sights and Stories, a website where author Kathleen Ernst talks about her writing process for Caroline, quote, the Abbott family owns a small shipyard situated to take advantage of a protected harbor. Readers will quickly discover that Caroline wouldn't want to live anywhere else. She loves her family home, which is not huge, but quite a step up from the log cabin she was born in. She loves visiting the family shipyard, she loves to look over Lake Ontario and imagine sailing her own ship one day. Native Americans had long lived in this area, which was rich with fish and game and surrounded by forests. In 1801, those same natural resources attracted a businessman from New York, hoping to establish trade in the region. He wrote, there a harbor is found, which is sheltered from the winds and surges of the lake. A peninsula of limestone rock perfectly protects a sheet of water covering about 10 acres. When Caroline's story starts, Papa's small shipyard is already successful. The deep woods provide timber for the ships needed to transport people and goods around the Great Lakes, and that sheltered harbor provides protection as he builds his merchant ships. Meet Caroline begins in June 1812, just as the United States declares war on Great Britain. Sackett's Harbor became the center of American naval and military operations. Caroline watches as her tiny village grows into a bustling town jammed with troops and shipbuilders. The British colony of Upper Canada was right across the lake, just 30 miles away. End quote. In later books, Caroline and her mother are given orders to burn their shipyard if the British Navy broke through, which Caroline struggles with. I really enjoy this story and how it blends the historical events in a clever way with the life of this little girl. I have criticized previous dolls on this channel because of the poor writing and storytelling. Most of the dolls we covered used war or slavery as a backdrop for the story rather than using it to tell a compelling narrative. Caroline's story is exactly how American Girl should be telling these historical stories featuring a young girl. She struggles with her own personal issues that would be applicable to modern-day girls, such as jealousy, but keeps her grounded in her time period and setting. Most modern girls won't have to grapple with the military telling them to burn their shipyard down, especially because not many modern-day girls would even have a shipyard to burn down, but they can still learn how to deal with adversity and sticking to your own values from Caroline's story. Overall, she is one of the best dolls we have covered so far, and I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed learning about her story. This is in direct contrast to the Molly video, where, once again, war is used as a backdrop. In that case, it was World War II. War was used as a backdrop rather than being part of the story like it is for Caroline. When you compare their two stories, given the fact that they are both, young girls, living in a wartime, I think that Caroline's story is much more impactful given the adversity that she has to face and the fact that the war is actually affecting her versus Molly, who seems very unaffected by the war in general. Anyways, enjoy the music and I will see you at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. Comment whether you enjoyed Caroline's story more than Molly's story, and if you think that my critique is right. And if you don't, please comment that too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.